Welcome back to Relationship Pneumatology Live. We are live again, once again, coming to you from the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. We are here in this quarantine period. We are still in international quarantine, and this entire series is surrounding why not put your relationship back into the workshop in this quarantine period and actually come out with a relationship with rekindled emotional warmth and sensual passion, and not the adverse, where as a result of lack of investment in the relationship, this quarantine period actually creates the atmosphere where there is emotional coolness, sensual frigidity, separation, and even divorce. We are your hosts again, Zain and Ketura. Ketura, show them
Hey
out.
everyone, with my pleasure. Hey everyone, so as they mentioned, I'm Katsura, also known as Kelly K. And in our previous episodes, we covered relationship myths. We were debunking relationship myths. Today, in particular, we're actually going to take a different angle because we noticed that there has been some demand for information on how to deal with passionless relationships. So, a lot of people are of the understanding that having a passionless relationship is normal. Today, we are here to inform you that that is not normal. That the absence of the same display of affection that you had in the earlies, the kissing, the touching, or the physical affection, the intimacy, when that is no longer present in the relationship, a lot of people believe that that happens when you get married and you're with someone for a particular length of time. We are here to tell you today that that unfortunately is not normal. Then back
Indeed.
to you.
All right. So, what in particular is the scenario we're looking at today? Since you say we're going to be looking at an action, a little something that we can relate to. What's the scenario?
All right, so we're looking at a young couple that got married, actually have been dating for some time, and decided to move in together. At the beginning of the relationship, there was a lot of, I would say they were both investing into the relationship, the dates, the presence of flowers and gifts. The guy in the relationship bring, um, would buy random things and bring it for the woman, and she too would do some things to so that they're both inspired by their connection. When they moved in together, the the fire, the spark began to dwindle. They began to live separate lives now that they're under the same roof. Responsibilities started to take over, and the activities that they used to do together no longer are like a partnership, but everybody's living individual lives. So this is the scenario. Let's call it Jane and Tom. Jane and Tom were together, having a really good dating life. They decided to move in together, get engaged and stuff like that. And with Jane and Tom now, the distance when they move in together, they realized that they started to somewhat grow apart, and I'm using that in quotes. So that now he goes to sleep early, she goes to sleep when she wants. There's no more that cuddling on the chair and on the sofa and watching Netflix, going fishing trips together. All of that seems to have disappeared, vanished, whoosh. So this is the scenario that we're working with here today.
Right, right, right.
Is
So,
that is that normal?
is that normal? Do you think that's normal?
No. I
I
mean, it's
think that's
normal
normal.
for a lot of folks, but that's if that is what a relationship is about, when you get married or when you move in together or get engaged or whatever the case is. Some people call it the honeymoon phase. If that is a
Right.
phase in a relationship, then I personally can't see myself interested in that, because people generally enter into a relationship with the expectation that it would um that their life will be transformed when they unite with this person. And when I say transform, I mean it's not like living like roommates. I personally am not looking forward to that kind of life. So no,
Right.
that's mm-mm.
Hmm. So,
So tell us.
let me tell us.
If that is not
Because
normal, then what should be the normal? What should be the norm in a relationship? And how do we go about having that intimacy as a norm, that continuous
well,
passion in a relationship? Whether you're married
on
1 year, 15 years. Hmm.
on the first phase of the relationship, we're talking about the courting period and dating period.
Right.
What's the norm? The norm is that when you're within the dating period, when you're within the dating atmosphere, that
Hmm.
you actually have not. That is the phase that most people use to get to know each other,
Right.
right? And actually getting to know each other. And it's a phase where usually people use to go into something permanent. If you're serious, it's something they use the phase that you use as the lead up to something serious and to something that is permanent. Whether you're moving in together, and you may not. Some people choose not to get married; they move in together, while others actually want to get married, and so they use that dating phase in particular to transition from dating to some people might actually make it more official, and then they get engaged, and then you go into marriage,
Hmm.
right? Within that period and time of that dating time of that dating period, what you're basically looking at is that both parties, because it is leading into that direction or leading to something permanent, both parties are not living together, number one. And as they're not living together, you're not seeing each other 24/7, even though you may have a relationship where you're in contact with 24/7. But within that period of time in the relationship, you are literally, um, because it is, you have not, well, most people, before I say that, most people tend to look at that as if marriage or living together is a destination. There's
Right.
no one's there. They tend to look at it as though it is a destination. And so, and within the dating period, what they're usually doing is actually working towards fulfilling the goal. Now, some people actually do that mindlessly because of how the society has trained them. You gotta actually get married, and so the whole idea of moving in or getting married is treated like a goal, something that you have to accomplish, and that is a
Hmm.
dangerous perspective because when something, if whatever you're actually applying that mindset to, once you acquire it, you feel a sense of fulfillment. This is what people do
Right. Yeah.
when they are actually working and they're working towards they're working towards retirement because of the goal. No, there's nothing wrong with actually having a goal, but when you actually look at it from the perspective and look at things like that, the relationship has to it. The goal is to get married, or with regards to working, the goal is to retire. From the time that point comes, indirectly and unconsciously, you accept it as mission accomplished and you rest. Just like you go into retirement and you rest. That making sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and most
So
people
you're
actually
saying when.
treat,
Hmm.
yeah, most people just treat moving in and getting married as a destination. They're not actually seeing it as something that actually um like another phase of the commitment. or a more binding phase of the commitment. No, they watch it as a destination. So before the marriage, both parties are really inspiring each other. So they're doing nice stuff. But what they're actually doing is investing into the destination. They're investing into fulfilling the goal. And that's because the society treats it like that. So when they get married now, they're moving together. I mean, and there could be other factors. This is just one angle I'm looking at here. Just
Okay.
just one simple angle. They get married, they're moving together, and next thing you know, they feel like, okay, mission accomplished. So there's no inspiration there. The inspiration is gone.
All right. So it's like I've received my toy. Like when you go shopping, you go get what you have to get, and you put it in your carriage. Once you check out, and that's it. Your mind
That
is
is it.
no longer on. Yeah.
So it's something that people actually do in life generally because the society is so goal oriented or goal orientated. They take that and they apply it to everything, even their relationships. So as soon as they are quiet, the rest mode kick in. Just like when they are actually the goal is to retire, rest mode kicks in.
Right.
Right
Right.
now,
Wow. That's huge.
when that actually happens, then now, what more are you looking at? So you find two persons get into the marriage, or in that case, the person that she is with or he is with has that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
There's zero inspiration. The question is, how do you restart that? The first thing that they are for that most persons need to consider. And you notice in the case that you're speaking about, they said that they're moving together, all of that stopped. And now we actually doing things on our own. I do this, he does his stuff, and we're living in the
Mm-hmm.
house together. And he doesn't show any affection unless it is actually towards um, some form of sexual relations, right?
Yeah. Basically,
And,
that's it.
and here are some things that most people don't take into consideration because they generally don't know about the physics of relationship and the physics of your spirit. Is that all spirit, as we said before, all spirit is actually by nature and by the research that we have so far, is that all spirits are actually created to be self-existent, which means then you actually working by the principle of inspiration. That's why people stay motivated because they need to be inspired, and the inspiration actually has to come from within. Sometimes you may use a catalyst outside, but because before your spirit is self-generating and self-existing, then the motivation has to come from within, the inspiration. And so
Okay.
when you're in the marriage circle or you're moving in together and you are together, okay, you're moving in together. Here's some things to consider. Number one, you're actually living in the house together now. So there's no more distance. Before you enter the relationship, there was distance. And so because of the distance, you're always mindful about, it was mindful of the person. You're always aware of the person and thinking about the person. You step into the marriage or the or moving in
They moving
together,
together. Mm-hmm.
and you're seeing each other 24/7.
A lot of people get comfortable with that because your spouse or your partner is there with you. So it's like they're at home, no need to message and say, "Hey, baby, I missed you today. I love you.
Right.
Thinking about you." You're right
So
there.
yeah. So here's something, a huge point to consider, massive point to consider, is that
Hmm.
being remember, we have actually seen in our research that being in a relationship means two spirits actually becoming one.
Right.
And most people actually don't know that they are spirit and the person that they're with is spirit, which means the relationship is definitely going to die if that in particular does not become a priority.
Right. Right. But before you go on, I just want to shout out some of the folks that tune in here with us. See, Christina is on. Hey, Christina, Antonio, Shan, Kisha. It's a pleasure to have you guys on.
Yeah, I'm now seeing actually Christina Lee Reyes. Shout out to you. Who's the next person?
Um, Antonio, Kisha, I forgot some of the names.
I shout out to each and every one of you there. Shout out to each and every one of you. Much love and thank you for joining us today. So so as we say in that context, most people are not aware, they're totally oblivious to the fact that you are spirit and that person is also spirit. And so to keep the
Mm-hmm.
relationship functional is actually to understand what they are as spirit and how what is the physics of spirit. And because all spirits are self existent, to actually get something from a fellow spirit, you have to inspire it in the spirit.
So if you want, so for example, let's just break it down as you're going along, right? If
Yeah.
if the relationship is lacking the passion that you're talking about,
Hmm.
and the woman feels like the man, he's just coming on to her because he wants some kind of sexual relations in your relationship. Now that you've moved in together, so far
Right.
what you're saying is because they're both spirits that they should inspire
Right. So
the
when they get
connection.
when yeah, when they get into the home now, first thing I need to do is to actually stop treating the relationship as though moving in together or being married was a goal.
Okay.
It is just a getting moving in together or getting married is more a formality of the relationship. A legal
Mm-hmm.
and moving in together is just a decision to action another phase of the relationship. It does not stop being a relationship. And a relationship means that you are becoming one spirit with the person that you're in the relationship with. So whether you get married, marriage is just a legalization of the relationship. So let's get the goal, the goal orientated mind off of the table, and now you actually
All
come down
right.
to be two spirits, and these
Mm-hmm.
two spirits in particular have physics behind it. It actually has a nature, and the nature is self-existent, which means every relationship, even in the marriage or even in winning together, there must be a conscientious effort, a very serious effort to motivate, to inspire what you want in the relationship. And
All
hear
right.
this,
So let me just give an example of what you're saying, right? When you
right?
say motivated and inspiring, instead of sitting down there and expecting the your partner to um let's say to come on to you, to
Right.
come and embrace you, because women like to be, showing this affection, play with the hair, stuff like that. You're saying
Entitlement.
what
You're being entitled. Yeah,
the
because
approach
what?
that should be taken
Uh-huh.
is inspiring that action.
Exactly. You gotta sow what you wanna reap. Now, when it actually comes to being with another spirit, and because the spirit is by nature self-existent, then whatever you want from that spirit, you have to inspire it. That's to start
Hmm.
with. And here's something that most people fall short with. Okay, so before you actually moved in together, before you got married, you were not living together.
Right.
So how did you see each other? Did you not plan to see each other? Factor that person
Of
into your
course.
schedule. You either want to visit them and spend time with them,
Mm-hmm.
right? When they move in together, they shift the concept from um, factoring in to their schedule, spending time with their partner because they've seen each other regularly. Again, because they
Okay.
don't understand that even in the relationship, if you're serious about the relationship, then you should in your in your time at home, life goes on, yes, but the planning, the factoring in that person into your schedule shouldn't change. And the only reason why it changes is because you have been looking at your relationship from the goal orientated mindset.
Yeah. I mean, and
And
this may
so
sound weird to those who hear it for the first time, right? Like when you say factoring in and scheduling, you're saying basically don't just leave it up for grabs with your time with your spouse. Schedule or your partner, schedule that Netflix and chill moment, or schedule your intimacy, schedule whatever it is that you desire. That's what you're saying, right?
schedule it just as you were scheduling it before. Just okay, so let's again look at the pre-moving or the pre-marriage phase. You
Mm-hmm.
schedule you had a schedule, or you factored it into your plan, your daily plan, to spend time with this person, or your weekly plan when you will actually spend time with this person. For the rest of the time, you are actually dealing with life, the
Yeah.
aspects of your life. When you come into moving in together, or moving, or actually getting married, why are you changing that perspective? Because in all you're doing is doing the same thing whilst you're in the same room with the person. Are they not dealing with their with responsibilities while they're moving together? They're just doing what they were doing
Mm-hmm.
in their own homes, in the same area with you. So you come
Right,
into the
right.
same area and you remove the plan. That is the same thing as um not planning to see the person before the marriage or before moving in together.
And another
Right?
important point to note is that it's equal responsibility with scheduling. A lot of women tend to think, well, it's the man's responsibility to book the date and do all the fancy getaways and stuff like that. But
Again,
if we're looking at it, mm-hmm,
that's entitlement, because if spirit by nature are self-existent, then if you actually sit there and think that he's supposed to do this or she's supposed to do this, you are working against spiritual physics. You're not going to get anything. What you're actually literally trying to do now is to mentally oppress and emotionally oppress your partner. You are
that's the
placing demands without placing actual active demand. You are passively placing demands on your partner. And by the way, you are placing demands on your partner without actually doing anything. You're placing conditions on you actually giving your partner spirit too, or emotional energy. And a huge aspect of this, what do you mean? Pay attention. For those of you listening to this, remember, and I'm reiterating, I'm saying this again. You are spirit, and your partner is spirit. Therefore, according to now, we consider the Bible one of the most reliable sources of spiritual physics or relationship, or the pneumatology, right? The mechanics of spirit. And the Bible actually shows you, for those of you who read the Bible, that spirit is also mind. A spirit is actually is heart, and spirit is also a mind. So when you're actually moving together, or you're married, whichever it is, the whatever it is, right now is totally irrelevant. The fact is, you're living in the same place together, whether you're moving together or you're married. Before the if you relate that, before you actually made that decision, were you not factoring in? Okay, we spoke about the plan, but when you plan, were you not actually doing things together?
mm-hmm,
When you step into moving in together, you step into marriage, and you actually begin to do things separately. You're no longer doing things together. You know something about spirit, as we were saying, according to the spiritual physics, if a spirit is a mind, then to actually become one spirit with someone is to actually synchronize your mind, which means you actually have to do things together to synchronize the spirit, to synchronize the frequency. Without doing things together, learning together. See, just as it was with in the scripture with Father God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit, what are they doing? They have the same knowledge. When you come into a relationship with Christ, Paul says to renew your mind. What you're doing is actually gaining the same knowledge that Jesus has, that God has, and that actually synchronizes frequency.
mm-hmm.
You sync, so and that is actually becoming one spirit, synchronizing the frequency. So if you're
So
doing
when you
two separate
synchronize,
things,
mm-hmm.
go
So
ahead.
when you synchronize that frequency, you're saying basically that the passion in the relationship is ignited, and that's
Well,
when
go ahead.
that's when the guy, you know, feels this desire, a stronger desire, or the woman feels this stronger desire for her partner, and then they'll
That
start doing. Both will start doing on their side little things. Things will start changing little by little.
obviously weren't you not doing that before the moving in and before the marriage, spending
That's
time with each
true.
other and doing things together? So if you
Mm-hmm.
step into the marriage, you're moving together, or you get married, and you actually stop doing things together, what you're doing is actually now you all have actually adopt two frequencies. The spirits are not united as one anymore.
Right.
You have to synchronize the spirit. To synchronize the spirit means mental synchronicity. And because spirit is energy, if you synchronize it mentally, then what you're going to actually reap is what is it? A waterfall of emotional warmth, a waterfall of sensual passion and fire because of the synchronicity of the energy. You see, once the energy unites, you unite the spirit. Everything of the nature of that spirit becomes one, and there's a massive surge of inspiration, emotionally and sensually, in your relationship. So you're
Right.
moving. So if you're moving and you're not doing, and you actually stop doing things together, what you're basically doing is separating the spirit. It is no longer
Separating the
synchronized.
energy.
You
Yeah.
separate the energy, and you're all actually watching each other as okay. It feels strange. Why? Because you disconnected the spirit. You disconnected your spirit from your partner, and he disconnected the spirit from you. And in the scenario that you mentioned, didn't you say that they put that the guy was only showing affection when it comes to sexual relations, only when it
Mm-hmm.
was sexual relations? So look at it, the
Yeah.
same principle. Isn't he seeing, and when he actually desires that, isn't he stepping into affection to inspire it?
Yes,
You
yes.
see what you see how they're using it? But you're using
Mm-hmm.
it conveniently.
So
So
it must be
why not?
it must be a long ongoing thing.
Exactly. And what people really lack in their relationship, especially when they move in and get married, are actual agreements to synchronize the spirit, where there's a functionalization of the connection by sitting down and expressing to each other what your expectations are.
Right.
And just as a normal relationship, by agreement, you express what your expectations are. And and both parties take on each other's expectations as their promises to them. So again, you synchronize the spirit by
So when you say
simply,
expect
uh-huh.
So when you say expectations, because we're nearly at the 30-minute mark, right? When you say expectations, when you say when a couple comes together before you move in together or before you get married, whatever the arrangement is, to express those expectations. Can you give us an example a little bit before we bring it on? And what do you mean by the expressing the expectations, where the intimacy is concerned? Like, what does that look like?
What does that look like? That's simply sitting down with your partner and expressing to your partner what are the things that you understand about yourself, that you need, that you desire to
Mm-hmm.
be inspired intimately, to be inspired sensually. What are the things that you need? Both
Gotcha.
parties should sit down and have that conversation. Because if you don't know what the person needs for that inspiration, you cannot even begin to inspire that spirit.
Gotcha.
That's just straight talk. So
Straight talk.
the best way to synchronize it is to actually sit and have a conversation where you actually understand what do you need, and you do that with each other. And if it is agreeable, then both parties should actually take it on as their personal promises to each other. And by keeping those promises, it creates an atmosphere of trustworthiness and security. And that again, that's synchronizing the spirit. You synchronize the frequency.
Mhm.
And just as Father, Father God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, they are one. Same spirit, same frequency, so you will become one with your partner. And you
Okay,
may very
gotcha.
well not. And once that happens, it will be even stronger. than before what you were doing before marriage and before moving in. Unity of the spirit is very important. Spiritual
Right.
physics is very important. Understanding how the energy of the spirit works.
All right. Well, this brings us, unfortunately, to the end of Relationship Pneumatology Live for today. Today's topic, sorry, was having a passionless relationship is not normal. For those of you who tuned in, and the absence of kissing, physical display of affection and intimacy in like in a marriage or living with your partner is not normal. These things are not normal. A lot of persons think that you get into a marriage, and whether it's 5, 10 years, even a year down the road, that eventually diminishes. Today we
Mm.
explained or gave some insight rather into how you can keep that ongoing through the understanding of pneumatology. All right, back to you, Zane.
All right, blessings and much love to everyone. For those of you who would actually like to get involved in some of our relationship rekindling challenges, 5-day challenges, 7-day challenges, we will actually post links in the description of this video on just above this video. And we'll also have a link there if you desire to actually get in contact with us. I am a relationship pneumatology coach or relationship physics coach, and get in contact with us. We just might be able to give you some solutions.
And
Yes.
before we go, we have a link for the women in particular.
Oh yes,
So
yes,
for
yes.
women, let's talk about that just really quickly before we go. What is
All
this
right,
about?
ladies in particular, we actually formed a new Facebook community called Relationship Physics Women Only. In that group in
Come
particular,
on, ladies.
whether you're a single lady and you're actually trying to understand relationship physics to be able to choose a partner intelligently, choose a partner, a partner that you can live with, and you just want to be and you like to be educated on how to go about doing it, this is the group for you. And even if you're in a relationship right now, whether it's pre-marriage or in marriage, and you actually want to understand the spiritual physics in yourself and your partner to be able to have and to reignite or to light the fire in your relationship again, we very well we actually providing you some solutions. Energetic physics or the spiritual physics solves all things. Right? So blessings and much love. For those of
Nice.
you who would like to know more about that, just search on Facebook, Relationship Physics Women Only, and click join. We'll get you in there, and you feel free to ask your questions. We will give you solutions. Blessings and much love.